Open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain. Woo! Welcome back to another piano lesson with Warren. My name is Warren McPherson if you're new to the channel. Today we're going to talk about embellishments and improvisation. And I'm going to share with you sort of the three big blocks of how I think about improvisation: melody, harmony, and rhythm. Everything I do sort of fits into one of those buckets, or oftentimes fits into all three. So if you want to take your embellishments and improvisation to the next level, stick around for this video. We're going to dive into that right after the break. Welcome back. We're talking about embellishments and improvisation in this video. Now, embellishments and improvisation is a well that has no bottom. It goes very deep with all sorts of tangents within said rabbit hole. So it's not a topic that can easily be covered in just one video lesson, because there are different levels to improvisation. There's beginner improvisation, intermediate, advanced, and then whatever comes after advanced. I'm sure you guys know at least one or two keyboard players that function at that level of improvisation. So there's so much to it. But at its core, everything falls into one of these three buckets. Either it's melodic in nature, the type of improvisation, it's harmonic, or it's rhythmic, or sometimes it's a combination of all three, right? So you can really shine the light on the different type of improvisation you want to do based on these three buckets. So I'm just going to share some stuff with you, how I approach improvisation, why I do certain things certain way, and sort of give you some mindset, you know, some ideas to run with. Now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. The more subscribers we get, the faster the channel grows, which allows me to continue to put out free content like this. So be sure to support the channel with a subscribe and a like. All right? So we're going to be working out of the key of F today. I just choose F by random, the F major scale. Now, let me say another thing about improvisation before we dive into the meat of things. Effective improvisation and embellishment also requires you to have a modicum of technique. Technique is the vehicle through which we express our musical thoughts and ideas, right? If you don't have certain level of technique, then those ideas stays trapped here. And what do I talk about when I say technique? It's just the efficiency and the speed at which you can move across the piano. Now, you don't need to be at the uber level crazy with technique, but technique needs to become a focus. So if you're one of those players that don't practice scales, blocked chords, broken chords, arpeggios, that means you're not actively working on your technique. Imagine an athlete. When you see an athlete training every day, they're doing all these little technical exercises and sprints and working on technique so they can be a better athlete on the field, right? You look at a football player, a soccer player, when they're training, they got all these little things that helps to sharpen their technique. So as a pianist, whether you're doing it just for hobby or you want to become pro someday, you still need to make sure that you're putting in the time to do these things. Scale practice, arpeggio practice, blocked chords and broken chords at minimum. There are other technique related activities that you can do, but these are sort of like the foundation. The foundation. Everybody needs to know these things, because our improv and embellishment is going to be based on either a scalic passage, an arpeggio, a blocked chord being moved up and down, or an arpeggio being run up and down. So that's something to note, right? We can't just become fairly comfortable with improv and embellishments if we never practiced these things before. Let's take a look at the song. Open the floodgates of heaven. Let it rain. Let it rain. Open the floodgates of heaven. Let it rain. Let it rain. It's a simple song. We're just playing the 1, F major, the 5 sus to the 5, C major, D minor 7, C major to B flat. Simple progression. But then we start to embellish it. See, same progression now with embellishments. You see how I was able to take that simple progression and then I start to embellish and improv. Now the word embellish and improv basically fits under the same umbrella. I like to think about embellishment as a more shortened form of improvisation. And improvisation is literally just making stuff up on the spot. That's what improvisation is. And embellishment, I like to think of it as more shortened version. So we have a song going and we can just spice it up a little bit. Embellishment. And then improvisation, I like to think of when you get into more of the meat, you start to get more extended with your runs and your lines, it becomes more centered. And so embellishments is what I would do behind a singer. Improvisation is what I would do when there's no singer, which means you get to go wild. But let's first talk about what I was doing there. Let's break that down. So I mentioned earlier, I'm going to try to fit this into 3 buckets, right? Melodic improv, harmonic improv, and rhythmic improv. We use all 3 in combination, but let's just isolate them for a bit. So when I talk about melodic improv, I'm oftentimes thinking about single note movements. So see, I'm just playing a single melodic line in my right hand. That's more melodic improv. And so when I'm thinking melodic improv, I'm thinking all diatonic, just notes of the scale and of the chord. So if I'm on an F chord, then I know I can play around with the 3 notes over here, the F, A, C. And now these are chord tones. So then you can start to approach chord tones via neighboring tones. So then we have the G. The G is not a chord tone, but it's a neighboring tone. It neighbors to chord tone. So you can use it as a stepping stone to get to either of these chord tones. Likewise, D is a neighboring tone. So sometimes I can approach the D, then resolve to the C. So and so when you start to think about these non-chord tones as neighboring stepping tone that is leading you to chord tones, you can start to develop beautiful melodies with just single notes. All single tones, and all I'm thinking is non-chord tone to a chord tone, non-chord tone to a chord tone. There's literally no wrong or right here. It's all about what sounds good to you. Now I'm going to jump down to rhythm a little bit before we get to harmony, because now you see, now that we kind of have an idea of which note to play, then we have to think about the rhythm in which we're playing those notes, because that plays a role in how interesting it's going to sound. Because if I'm playing everything just It sounds beginner, right? Nothing is wrong with beginner. We all have to start there. But it's because I'm using the same note value, the same rhythmic value. Pa, 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 pa. And so to create more interest to your melodic tones, you want to broaden your rhythmic horizon. And it's important to sit and get an understanding of rhythm. So for example, if this is the pulse, we can call this quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have eighth notes, which is just twice the value of this. Right? And then if we go 3 within the time of 2, we get what is known as triplet. Because it's 3 in the time of 2. Triplet, 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 triplet. Then we have the dotted eighth note / 16th note. Now I'm using technical terms, but I want you to associate what they sound like, right? So then I can start to have that would be notated as a dotted 8th, 16th. So instead of playing 2 straight notes, I'm staggering it. You can also think about it as a swing. When they say swinging the notes, the 8th notes so that's another note value I have at my disposal. Then we have 16th notes. That's just playing 4 notes in the time of 1. So then we have a so you see, I just went through different forms of note values. So when you're playing, it's important to combine and mix and match those different note values, and then you can end up with stuff like that one that I played there is 32nd notes, which is basically, now instead of 4 8th notes, we're doing 8 in the time of 4. So you have a now a lot of the execution of these notes are going to be based on your technique level and comfort in how fast you can play. So don't feel like you need to master all of this today. I just want to give you ideas of how to think about rhythm. We don't just play and expect things to come out. Think about the type of rhythm you're trying to enact at that time. Now, the more you do this, it comes easier, and so then you don't even have to think about the technical, what rhythm am I playing, right? But if you find that all your rhythm sounds the same in your right hand, that means you need to challenge yourself and start thinking about the different values of rhythm that exists. Take a deeper dive into the rhythmic element. Now, one more thing that I haven't spoke about rhythmically is what we call the turn, famously used in classical music, stuff like that. And the simplest way to think about a turn, it's 3 notes being played at the same time. We take the middle note, note, note above, note, note below, back to note. But it's done very quickly, oftentimes with these 3 fingers. I did 9 years of classical piano, so that's why I'm pretty comfortable with my turns. But it's something that has made its way into popular music, jazz music, gospel music over the years. So it's definitely something you want to start to add to your arsenal, right? Right? And lastly, I want to talk about the grace note. And this one is simply a flick, right? And I'm just using these 2 fingers from here and flick to the other one very quickly. Now you can flick from a non-diatonic tone, which means a tone that doesn't belong to the key of F. Oftentimes I do it on the thirds of the chord. So a turn can be, a grace note can be applied anywhere. Chord tones or scale tones, non-diatonic tone. And there's no wrong or right place to use it. Again, this is something you'll explore, experiment with, and see what feels comfortably, right? So that covers sort of melody and rhythm. Now let's talk about harmony. What I oftentimes like to do is sometimes harmonize my melodic tones. Now the way I like to use harmony on the piano is either in sixths, in thirds, or in fourths. And we're talking about intervals. So a third would be like this. So it's also a good idea to practice your scale in thirds. Right? Because sometimes when I'm playing, floodgates of heaven, let it rain. So you can move in thirds, ascending or descending. Now if we invert a third, we get a sixth. And invert means take the note at the bottom, put it at the top, and we get now an interval of a sixth. And you can do the same thing. Oops. So then I can go, open the floodgates of heaven. Right? Oh. So that's how you can use sixths and thirds and see what feels comfortable for you. Now fourths gets a little tricky because you got to know how to use fourths. Sometimes some fourths might work, sometimes it won't, because it gives you a more modernized jazzy sound. But I like it, right? So I'll do stuff like, right? So that's fourths, fourths. So you know. So you can use fourths. Because every chord is built with an interval of fourths in it. So if I take an F major chord in second inversion, remove the third, I'm left with a fourth, right? If I take a minor seventh chord, same thing. If I remove the other notes of the chord, you know, I'm left with a fourth. So a fourth is a part of a chord, which is why you can use it. It's just that when you're using fourths consecutively, you might start to, some of the fourths turn into tritone, like that. And if you're not on a C7, a tritone against any other chord can sound funny, right? But again, you gotta use your ears and see what sounds good for you. Now the last way if I like to think about harmony is as full triads, moving triads up and down the keyboard. This one's a little bit more tricky, but you can do it. So triads. So like when I'm here, I can do stuff like. And oftentimes I'm usually just taking a portion of the chord. Like in this case, I'm on a B flat major 7. I can take this chord and I can move it around to, and most of the times I'm using first inversion and second inversion triads. So first inversion, right? Second inversion, first inversion, and you can move it like that. Open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, right? And for those of you who are like, what did you just do there? Extra, bonus, let's show you what I did there. So all I did is a 2-5 passing to take me to the 4. Open the floodgates of heaven. So from here, we're going to 6. We can use the secondary dominant. I've done this in a few videos. A7, B diminish, C sharp diminish, D flat diminish, and drop in the D minor. Popular gospel movement. Open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain. Then 2, this is a C minor 9. And I'm calling it 2 because I'm purely thinking in terms of B flat, because that's my destination. Check out my other videos on 2-5-1 passing. 5 to my 1, and I just did a resolution to just E flat 13th. And that takes us nicely back to the F. So in context, open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain, let it rain. Open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain. Woo! And then you can play the scale. So all I'm playing is just an E flat major scale over that. Actually, I'm introducing that note. So think of an E flat major scale with a flat 7. And then you get works nicely over that. And I was also introducing another passing chord. Floodgates of heaven, let it rain. I did a chromatic, Sus minor 9, boom. This one right here to the B flat. Then scale. That's all I have for y'all today. Not gonna go further down that rabbit hole, but whenever I do a little tricks and cool chord stuff, I like to insert that into the lesson, even if it wasn't a part of the original lesson. So that's kind of me just really scratching the surface of embellishments and improvisation. Now you have some things to think about, some actionable steps that you can begin to take to improve your improv and embellishment skills, right? Great stuff. Now, if you want to get better at spelling your chords, playing chords and seeing what it is and knowing the name of the chord, I have a PDF free for download I call the 7 Steps to Naming Any Chord. That's right. You follow the 7 steps, and it doesn't matter how much notes or how jumbled it is, you can rearrange this and figure out the name of the chord using these 7 steps. The link for that is in the description of the video. And lastly, Piano Lesson with Warren, that's me. I run a wonderful membership program over at pianolessonwithwarren.com, where I have helped hundreds of musicians, gospel musicians, people who want to be able to play by ear or get better at play by ear. I've helped hundreds of those folks achieve their goal, and currently we have hundreds of people in the program achieving their goals. If you're one of those people who feel like you're not getting any traction, you need some direction and guidance and structure most of all, I would highly recommend you check out pianolessonwithwarren.com. We're currently running a special where you get 50% discount off your first month, 30 days, just to check out the program, see if it's right for you. 50% discount happening right now. The link for that's also in the description. Head over there, check it out, see what it's like and if it's for you. We also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, because here's the thing. We only want folks to be in the program if they're happy and comfortable and want to be there. So if you sign up, you're excited, and you go in and you say, man, this is not for me, it's not working out, that's fine. We give you your money back. No problems, no question asked. So check out pianolessonwithwarren.com. It is one of the best places to be for pianists wanting to learn by ear, especially if you're interested in gospel music. That's what we got going on over there. All right? And so again, if you're new to the channel and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. We're over 200,000 subscribers. I had no idea this channel would have gotten that far, but it's because of folks like you who continue to view, hit subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff, comment, that helps us to continue to create free content. Because here's the thing, when you help the channel grow, YouTube run ads on my channel. That ad revenue is what I use to help to continue promote and create free content for you guys. So support the channel so then I can in turn support you and your musical goals. Bye for now and talk soon. Stay tuned for the next video coming next week on how to better your playing. All right? Have a blessed week.